Hello there. I just want to make a quick video, or maybe one of my Operation Avalanche videos here. Haven't done one of them in a while, where I just scroll through my feed and talk about current events or whatever. After getting these finished and put up on my backup page, all the evidence debunking evolution, especially this lies in the textbook video, everybody should check it out. But yeah, so I guess in the news, what's in the news today? The world going crazy, fighting and feuding, looting. Is it really okay? And yeah, I guess aside from the trains and more trains in the media, I've been hearing about lots more, like at least half a dozen, and it's systematic. Balloons, then trains. But now I hear this story about China and Russia getting together for some kind of summit meeting. And I mean, Putin and this Wang Yi guy should just get it over with and kiss already. You can tell they totally want to kiss. I mean, at the cloning centers, forget about it. Smoochy boochy. But yeah, like, all jokes aside, I had heard a while ago on Canary Cry News Talk, episode 573, I'll get to that, I'll show a link, where basically China was buying gas from Saudi Arabia now, and they're only supposed to be able to do that in American dollars. And so yeah, now that the Chinese war machine's all gassed up and ready to go, next stop, World War III. Or even this, BlackRock getting into the metaverse. More distractions while the war is raging in places we'll never see, except online, ironically. But yeah, again, China's got the gas. China's got the gas for their war machine now. And with Russia, they're just now basically, building little bases here and there, training together. Oh yeah, that's not a warning bell or anything. Between wars and rumors of wars, really, like the Bible prophecy of the kingdoms of the north getting together and doing all this damage to the west or to Israel or whatever. It is what it is. I mean, it's supposed to happen. We're not supposed to, like, freak out about it. Just, plan and try to, get into Goshen or wherever. Try to stay safe and avoid the war. Like, I mean, you can't make war against the beast. It's got to run its course. Or even, like, in the West, you got the whole things that if you say on social media, like how the artificial intelligence AI algorithm will freak out on me and be like, bruh, you're totally being so transphobic, bruh. We're gonna have to delete you now, bruh. Again, bruh. Again. So yeah, like, this guy here is hilarious, but if I were to actually play the audio, YouTube would freak out, their AI would freak out and delete me and everything. And so yeah, on one front you have the actual war brewing, right? And then on the other front you have the psychological operations dumbing people down, making them weak. So when the operant conditioning, like putting people in FEMA camps over something happens, who's going to survive? The weaklings? And if you check your history books with like World War II even, does history look back fondly on the brown shirts that Hitler used and then exterminated? No. And what's our modern day brown shirts? Groups like Antifa and all these alphabet agencies that are like, brah, don't be a racist, bigot, homophobe, brah. The Ouroboros eating itself, they'll be the first to go, right? So the censorship just keeps getting crazier and crazier, I guess. It is what it is. Even on another topic, rest in peace, Dr. Michael Heiser. His lectures on Gnosticism, and even like proving Jesus' birthday, September 11th, lots of awesome work. This guy basically was one of the world's leading experts on translating the Bible. And yeah, he recently passed into the unseen realm himself. But while China is brewing for war with Russia, and the West is going insane with us versus them and, creating race wars even, the whole topic of white versus black or white privilege. And even like in previous videos, I talk about privileges being something they give to slaves. I'm not a slave. I have God-given rights. But I get to thinking that you gotta have fun with this stuff at the same time, or else it'll drive you insane. Like this, I thought was a funny meme. Elon says China will never replicate our technology. And then China, they replicate Elon. I thought that was funny. Did they clone you there, bud? Hey, bud? It made me giggle. And so, yeah, I mean, aside from other news in East Palestine, Ohio, which seems to still be being covered up, And usually when they go this hard at covering something up, that means it's 10 times worse than it actually is. And then I see photos like this, you know, and it fills in the blanks, you know. Look at what's going on and why the media doesn't report it. Well, that's easy to answer. The media is controlled by how many groups? And they used to be controlled by thousands. But yeah, even like my first Twitter back in 2014 when I started doing this up, I blasted up to like 3,000 followers pretty quick, within a couple months. And then they nerfed my numbers and I noticed they just stopped going up, which is like mathematically impossible when you're on like whatever it's called, a bell curve up, and the sky's the limit on social media, and yet your numbers just stop moving one day. It's just not possible. Like the moon being a dusty rock. Not possible. And I noticed also on my Instagram, the only page I've never had deleted, I just sit here at like 8:30, 8:40, 8:50. I just hover around this number for 2 years now. Not possible. They're totally nerfing my numbers. It just drives me to drink. I mean, to think that this job is hard enough as it is without all these shills and goof companies and their artificial intelligence just being all hot and bothered and getting their knickers in a bunch. And the artificial intelligence itself seems to be so retarded. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, even like on Facebook recently, it's like the artificial intelligence doesn't really know what it's doing. It's like based on keyword searches. It flags a post if it can get away with it. And so, yeah, after like a 24-hour ban on both my pages simultaneously, mind you, Facebook admits that they'll be shadow banning my posts deep into people's timeline feeds just so they can't see them as often or whatever. Like, is there AI like a retarded Nazi Skynet wannabe? Like, down with Skynet, eh? Apparently, if you talk about certain things like the Queen of England and some of her more infamous scandals, or even talking about corporal punishment, because it's pretty twisted when you think about it, you could mention that the punishment for treason for anyone in office or the military or whatever, there's a punishment for treason during wartime, right? And if you mention it, or if I even say that the capital punishment for it is, you know, I think hanging, right? Nuremberg trial style. But if you mention that in a post, you could get your post flagged for whatever, inciting violence. Once you're on their blacklist, it doesn't matter what you post. They'll comb through everything you do just to look for anything that they could possibly jump down your throat about. It doesn't even matter at that point what you post. They're looking for anything to shut you down over. And so in the case of like the censorship or whatever, like on my Facebook recently, I said here originally no real reasons given, but in the end they said it was my comment about, it was 2 comments not being allowed to talk about scandals with the Queen and or me saying that certain corporal punishments would save on people being abused and taken advantage of. And even like the metaphor before. But if some politician or prosecutor, or the New York prosecutor like Rudy Giuliani, or one of these guys gets on Twitter and says how they're prosecuting a famous case and going for the death penalty, that's okay. But if a civilian who's on their shit list talks about it, it's inciting hate speech. And that's what I mean. It's like the artificial intelligence is retarded. It's just looking for anything to nitpick about. Like programmed to nitpick. It's pretty weak. Like, I mean, weak. Weak T, like weakness. On the street, you'd be exploited for that weakness. Weak. They're weak. Like, what else can you say? They're just weak. And just thinking about it, kind of like at the end of the day, you know, you're more than likely just to get yelled at for telling people that they were lied to. People would rather freak out on the person saying they were lied to than the people who actually lied to them. Yeah, that sounds right. Like if you mention this to somebody, you just get the most docile, sheep-like stares. But yet I know enough about the experts in these fields to know that I'm right over target if I'm getting this much flack shot up at me. We've temporarily restricted some of your profile features because, you know, you said stuff that made somebody cry. They just turn on each other. Like this, what's happening with J.K. Rowling. She's a raging liberal leftist, but yet they have no problem eating their own. Like, they'll eat their own. Like, up to the fires of Moloch, mental disorder, liberalism is a mental disorder. Like, she said one thing about, who should be using certain bathrooms. And the liberal leftists just freaked out. Freaked out! It's still going on. I can only imagine the personal attacks. At that point in the game, it's like, that's why I don't really go online to like surf the web, as they used to say. I don't really like scroll through my feeds that often. I sometimes do if I have 5 minutes, whatever, and I want to see what some of my friends have posted. But like to scroll through, I normally just don't bother. There's some people on Twitter that I'll go out of my way to like their videos. But yeah, at the same time, if you do comment and interact, then you're just more than likely to have the AI find an excuse to snip you, to clip you. So remember, if that's what you're doing, if you're online a lot, be careful what you say because the computers are literally watching every word you speak. It's not even an issue, Much less this guy, and whether or not he has been cloned by China. But yeah, like this, you mention this to somebody and they're more than likely to give you the blankest stare you've ever seen and say, what do you mean? It's like, what do you mean? Don't you see it? And that's when you realize that some of these people can't see it. Like, you tell them about Albert Pike and Giuseppe Mazzini planning this all out 100 years ago, and you're more than likely just to be called a retard for your hard work researching all this. This is not a conspiracy theory anymore. It's right there, hiding in plain sight, and yet people no. Or even before, like pointing out how the moon, in my opinion, is the opposite end of an electric plasma circuit, the negative charge, the sun and the moon, the diamagnetic battery it creates. It's like, does that look like a rock covered in dust to you? Some of the pictures now with digital technology, that's giving off its own light. And so I guess they feel the need to censor people like us. All us people out here trying to make videos or posts or wake people up, or God knows how many people who've unjustly gotten like a month-long Facebook strike. How many times have people had to make up backup pages because they've been harassed? But like I've said before, you gotta be cool and relax and don't fall asleep on the railroad tracks. Just keep going, I'll never self-terminate. I won't stop doing this until, I finally go. And sometimes I think, if they just leave you alone, what would all my numbers be? Would I had actually been able to monetize enough to take care of my family? Would my sister still be alive if that was the case? And I think of stuff like that, but I can't let it stop me. I started doing this poor, and I can finish doing this poor. It doesn't really matter to me. I just thought, with everything that's going on recently, I think the censorship will get to a point where they won't be able to hide it anymore, per se, because of word of mouth at that point. So they'll just be kill switches where they'll just shut things down. Like, it could come to pass in the future that, like, say, going to a BitChute website won't be allowed. I noticed when I posted a link of Age of Deceit, a fully cited movie, a documentary proving that aliens are hurt by prayer and God knows how much more about this future system they're trying to create. Great movie, led me to Christ. After trying to figure out why my grandpa was a Luciferian and who the 33rds are, seeing this movie is what led me to Christianity, or trying still to this day to shed all my bad habits and addictions and repent and trying to do right by God, as it were, because there's a war going on. We better pick a side. Anyway, long story short about that, when I tried to link it on Twitter to somebody, doing it right now, copy, and if I go to my Twitter page here and scroll down through my tweets to where it was, you should be able to see it. The idea that they're so scared of companies like BitChute because you can still Google search things like that, and they have to, like, I'll see it showing up in Google searches if you type in the exact key name search. But like here, okay, this guy's going on about how he loves aliens and he wants his alien space Jesus to come save him, and aliens like the Mormons, they're going to have space babies. And I'm like, no, maybe check out this video documentary here, fully cited, everything, blah, 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 blah. And then when you reply and look at it again and try to go to this link, you get, warning, this link may be unsafe and harmful. And it's like, what? I thought Elon was bringing freedom of speech back to Twitter. Like, I thought Elon was, gonna try this out and be a CEO of Twitter, whatever, and down with censorship. But guess not, Elon? Guess not. Because things like BitChute, eventually they'll just activate a kill switch so that you won't be able to use it anymore with whatever certain internet providers. Everyone but Christians are considered, protected classes now. White Christians are officially the enemy, the minority now. It's pretty hilarious because if someone comes at you acting like a child, you can't defuse the situation. You best to just get out of there. You can't argue with these people. They're not going to listen to you. And most of them are so robotic, like the artificial intelligence they don't even realize they're serving, that, what's the point of beating a dead horse? Like, arguing for the sake of arguing. It's not a functional strategy or anything you should go with at all. And like I said in one of my other videos, at this point I'm not trying to wake anybody up. I'm just making videos for the people who are already awake to this and pray that other people will have the scales lifted from their eyes. Because it's like living your life inside of a head game. Like, I don't know. Myself personally, I just can't see how people can't see it. But they can't for some reason, so pray for them, right? But yeah, on and on it goes. Everything now is about political correct garbage. And since I refuse to play that game, eventually I can see me personally not being allowed on the internet at all. It'll be fine. I guess that'll be retirement time. I'll just get a little garden and go live like this guy here and live the dream, I used to think this was all bunk, When I was younger, I just wanted money and power, and I never ended up getting either of them anyway. But now I realize how absurd that is, and it's like, yeah, I don't want to play this game anymore, that the system has set everything up in opposition to itself. So, you got to be looking for the third option out always now. And yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. I just wanted to go through some of my feed here, talk about anything new, or talk about anything old, like this, like how carbon dating is not reliable. You never get the same number twice. There was once a snail carbon dated too, where the shell was like younger than the snail. Not possible. But yeah, I guess I'm just trying to find a balance now, Like, I'll do these kind of videos, and I'll be online, I'll post, just, I guess, hoping to make a dent in this, feeling like some kind of watchman on the wall, like it's my duty. But even like conspiracy theories, it's like pretty much, to most people, they pretty much just sound like what heavy metal sounds like to people who don't like heavy metal.
What the dog doing?
And I know to most people that sounds absurd, but, I used to like metal. I kind of liked that. It had a nice beat to it, and the dog could really wail. And so there I would be, driving to get tickets. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm just, trying to make a dent, I guess. We'll see what happens. Trying to relax. I've been collecting lots of books lately, the last year or two, because if the lights end up going out, so to speak, and you don't have solar power or whatnot, you're going to have to find things to do real quick. Real quick. People are going to get bored real quick without their Netflix and everything else. So, yeah. What can you do when you live in a shoe? Move to a boot and get laced. And so I'll just say, peace out, baby.